it's the script that we've seen 1,000 times over all of our years of watching the tournament, and you can see it. You can literally see it happening, and you're like,
Hmm.
they're out of steam.
Yep.
They made their big run over the first half and into the second half, and you can just see it slowly fade.
All right, welcome back to Two Generations, One Mic. This past weekend, we had the first two rounds of the March Madness tournament, so a lot to talk about there. Couple NBA things, some couple more big moves in NFL, a little golf. Yeah, good to be with you, Pat.
Hi, bud. Good to be with you. What a weekend! I mean, that weekend is always so much fun.
Oh, so
Um,
good.
it, it, it's just like so fun when you wake up in the morning, starting on Thursday morning, and you know you've got basketball to watch, and that's coming off of championship week,
Yep.
weekend, the week before. Well, week I should say, the week before, and Selection Sunday, the previous Sunday. But boy, that Thursday through Sunday is so much fun. And it's so depressing to wake up on Monday and not have any actual live sports to turn on at, 9 a.m. out here on the West Coast. It's just so
Yeah.
much fun. It's just a great weekend of sports.
Yeah.
Like the next 3 weeks are awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially the fact that both of us were on West Coast time for this past Thursday through Sunday. And yeah, you
Right?
wake up and you got to be ready to go at 9:15.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, you just get basketball for like 12, 14 hours. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Before we get into it anymore, let's see your jersey.
Okay, here we go. As you know, keeping a little bit of a college basketball theme.
For
Um,
sure.
this particular player had, like Eric Montross was big at North Carolina and rolled into, a decent NBA career. Nash, obviously, two-time NBA MVP, so he had a decent pro career or a wonderful pro career as well. Um, Here you go. This was one of this Ben is, I
Hmm.
would say, my favorite all-time college basketball team to watch.
Oh, yeah.
LJ.
Yep.
LJ Grandmama. Yeah, that he was that team was so much fun to watch. So, some quick stats on Larry Johnson. He was born in March of 1969 in Texas, and he went to high school in Dallas. He actually had a 2-year basketball career at a junior college in Odessa, and then went on to UNLV for 2 years, 1989 to 1991. In 19 the 89-90 season, let me finish up his stats real quick. He was the first overall draft pick in the 1991 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets. Played for the Hornets from 91 to 96. Then he went over to the Knicks and played for the Knicks from 96 to 2001. He had a a solid pro career as well. A couple of quick stats. Let me read these for you real quick. Two-time NBA All-Star. So he actually had a great commercial with his shoe deal. I believe it was Converse, and his nickname or whatever was Grandmama. So he would be dressed in an outfit like Grandma, and then dunk on everybody. And I mean, he was just a force on the basketball court, both in college and pro. But um, two-time NBA All-Star, All NBA second team in 1993, NBA Rookie of the Year in 1992, All Rookie first team 92. 1991 National College Player of the Year, two-time Big West Player of the Year, which the Big West doesn't exist anymore, and USA basketball athlete of the male basketball athlete of the year um, before that. But let's just talk real quick about my favorite time of watch. I mean, let me go back. Charlotte Hornets. That team was a ton of fun. He was with uh, like Muggsy Bogues, Alonzo Mourning. I mean, they were a super exciting NBA team. They didn't get to the conference finals or the NBA championship in the playoffs, made the playoffs a couple times, but they were a super exciting team to watch. But those 2 years of the UNLV team, Ben, so the 89-90 year, they went undefeated except for one loss to Santa Barbara, of all teams, in the middle of the year. But ended up playing Duke in the national championship game and beat Duke 103-73 was the finals score. Yeah, and you had Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony, who went on to play in the NBA. Augmon played in the NBA for a few years. Anderson Hunt, Moses Scurry, George Ackles. Those are all guys that, if you were really watching them, I mean, they were the main powerhouses of that team. So then they roll into the 90-91 season. Favorites, having destroyed Duke in the national championship game, have a great season again. Meet Duke in the final 4 games, so the semifinal game, and Duke actually beat them. So they weren't able to go back-to-back. But those 2 UNLV teams were just so fun to watch. I'm telling you. I mean, Larry Johnson on a fast break with a dunk. I mean, get out of the way. And then he carried that same force. He was just a physical, massive guy. I mean, his shoulders were huge. He wasn't the tallest, but he was just built huge, and his face was like a square. I mean, he just was a force. It was so fun to watch. I loved those teams. Jerry Tarkanian. Of course, they had tons of recruiting violations and all kinds of stuff like that, but whatever. All the stuff that they're doing now that's legal, they were doing back then. So whatever. So there you go.
It blows my mind those Hornets teams weren't better when you go back and look at the rosters.
100%. Remember, you and
Curry,
I used to...
Larry Johnson, Alonzo,
Oh yeah, and in your couple years of earlier high school, when I played a lot of NBA 2K with you, I would go back and be that team sometimes, and because you had Kendall Gill from Illinois, and he was
Kevin Wingate.
Yeah. Oh gosh, and you could just shoot like crazy with those guys. That was so fun.
Yeah.
And I love
all
this
right.
jersey. Look, they even have the black memorial stripe. I don't even know who that's for.
Yeah.
I didn't research that. I should have, I guess, but so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right.
on we go.
Getting into college basketball here. Yep. So let's look at the first round first. So I think one of the biggest shocks of the first round was that Duke Siena game, which, I mean, just the fact that everyone gets the notification that Siena's up 11 at half against Duke, incredible. Now, second half, you could tell they were running out of steam. I think they had like a 7-minute stretch where they didn't have a field goal. Duke starts to get their offense together a little bit. Cameron Boozer figures things out. What was amazing, though, was when I figured out that in the second half, when I looked at the box score, that Siena hadn't put in a sub yet. They had just stuck with their starters the entire game.
That's just insane. That's just crazy. And Siena's coach, I did not realize until I was watching it, and they said his name, Jerry
McNamara or
McNamara. And,
yes.
From Syracuse, who hit, for those of us back in the late 90s, early 2000s, or I think that's about when he played there.
Yep, he was on the Carmelo team that won it.
That's right. And then that was Carmelo's freshman year, and he left then after that. But I think Jerry stayed, and he hit a key shot in the Big East tournament, and that just kind of put his name on the map for Syracuse basketball. And here he is coaching Siena, and is actually, I believe, about to be, if it hasn't already been announced, about to be announced as Syracuse's next head coach.
Got announced an hour ago. Yep, officially. Yeah, so that's super super cool after his
Yep.
big run and
There you go.
being an alum that was
Yeah,
on a
I saw
national
that was in the works yesterday or
championship
the day
team.
before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fun for him. But,
Cool.
I mean, could you imagine being one of those starters for Siena having to play 40 minutes straight against Duke, one of the top 3 teams in the country? Gosh, you would have to be so gassed by the end.
Oh my God. It would be so brutal. Yeah. Your only break are timeouts, TV timeouts, and halftime.
Yeah. Yeah. No quarters, it's just straight halves. Yeah. Which,
Yep.
I'll be honest, before that game, hadn't watched a second this year of Siena basketball. I'm
Well, why would
curious.
you?
Well, exactly, but I'm curious because I've never seen their bench guys play since I hadn't watched them earlier in the year and they didn't play this game. Are they that bad that they don't? You just can't put them in against Duke, or because
I don't.
I think at points in the game you'd rather take the energy of fresh legs over your starter who is so gassed, and you give your starter a rest, but. I mean, Jerry's obviously a coach, and I'm not. So, and he knows his guys. It
Right.
it just blew my mind. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine how tiring that would be. But oh man, would that have been such a cool story? It would have, of course, busted everybody's brackets, and I know everybody ultimately in the end wants, the best teams there. But we'll get into it in a minute on the overall Cinderella team thing, and does that even exist anymore? But having a big upset like that, would have just been so exciting.
yeah. And then talking about upsets.
And
So,
Well,
yeah.
one other thing, Ben, let me just bring up, and it's happened, forever, in not only the NCAA tournament, but just in NCAA. I'm just going to keep it to NCAA basketball, but like when you have a super duper underdog and a super duper powerhouse, and the super duper underdog, is making their run or is ahead or whatever, but finally the superpower starts to slowly get their wits about them in the mid second half, and you can literally just see the Cinderella team just slowly lose. There's a couple times down the court and they have a couple key misses, and the other team, the superpower, rebounds, comes down, makes the shot, maybe a foul and foul shots, and then they come down and they miss their basket. And it's the script that we've seen 1,000 times over all of our years of watching the NCAA tournament, and you can see it. You can literally see it happening, and you're like, they're out of steam. They made their big run over the first half and into the second half, and you can just see it slowly fade. It's like a balloon that has like a tiny little hole, and you can just see it slowly going down. And it's you just want to will them to make a basket.
Yep.
And that's exactly what watching that game was like.
Yeah, once they always put up the graphic when a team goes X amount of minutes without a field goal. And once you see that graphic come up, you're like, oh, shoot. Yeah.
Yep. It's
so
like
tough.
the kiss of death. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. But High Point with a big upset in the first round against Wisconsin. There's your classic 12 versus 5 right there. Chase Johnston hits the game-winning layup for High Point, and that was his first 2-point field goal of the season.
Of the season.
And
not of the game.
Yep. Of the season. And to make it at a time like that is insane. He's obviously an amazing shooter, has had a great season for High Point, but not even hitting a single 2 during the season. Just no backdoor cuts or anything.
Even that guy from Oakland a couple years ago in the tournament that was famous for
Jack
only
Golke
shooting 3-pointers, he had a few 2-point field goals during this season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a single one. That's incredible. That's like 30 plus games.
And it's not like he was missing them either. I think he was like 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 during the season. So
Yeah,
he
just
had a
didn't take
couple
them.
of attempts, but yeah, only threes.
It's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. And
Um,
boy, could he shoot a couple of those highlights of his 3-point shots from that game. So good.
and
If you haven't seen them, go back and look because they are fantastic. Just on the logo still, just chucks it. And
yeah,
and I mean it was very Steph Curry like. I mean, he'd chuck it,
just
not
flick of the
squared up
wrist.
like that. I mean, yeah, and was like off of 1 foot as he was coming down the corridors. I mean, talk about feeling it. I mean, he was just gonna yeah.
No, he's a heck of a shooter.
Oh
That was a
boy.
fun game to watch. Cool to see. High Point is a solid mid-major team. I mean, we'll get to it in a little bit here in the second round, but even their game against Arkansas, they kept it close for most of that. He was knocking down threes. High Point was a fun team to watch.
They're a fun team to watch, and it's interesting because it's going to be so cool. It would be. I mean, I'm never going to actually do the research, but it would be interesting to
Yeah.
know if this does anything to boost their admissions as a school
Mm-hmm.
overall, because everyone's been talking about this campus and how incredible it is, and all the stuff they do from a personal development of the student, regarding going to restaurants and how to interact with, future business people and so on. Great skills to learn as a young person entering the business world, and everyone's been talking about it. It's everywhere, and I mean, I'll be honest, I'd never even heard of High Point before that, and so I would imagine this is going to significantly increase their admissions.
Now that's if you can afford it, being that you have to pay about 71,000 a year to go there.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. It's been all
Well, there
over
you
my
go. Good
TikTok.
point.
It's been all over my TikTok now, like High Point students posting TikToks like day in the life of a High Point student, and they're going around campus and showing you everything they have. It's insane. They have a fake airplane on campus where you practice how to network if you were to ever network with someone on an airplane. That is crazy. Who even thinks of that? But it's cool.
I
Don't
know,
get me wrong.
and it is, and it's awesome. Let me tell you what. Um, you know, it, 30 years ago, I would love to have been able to do that, and you know, learn other little conversation skills. When you're sitting there next to, the head whatever of whatever department in a company that you'd be interested in, and how do you make sure that you're memorable and could lead to just super cool, awesome.
Yeah. Um, so North Carolina up 19 at one point to VCU, up 12 with 7 minutes left, blows the lead. VCU beats North Carolina. Just obviously Caleb Wilson was out, but it's not like this North Carolina team doesn't have other guys besides him. You have Seth Trimble, you have Henry Vasar, who Henry Vasar had an awesome game with 28 and 10. I, you gotta close that game out.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
I think it's tied for the UNC's biggest blown tournament lead, and
Yep.
I mean, that's just
Yep.
poor by Hubert Davis. Which kind of gets us into the point here. Is Hubert Davis on the hot seat for North Carolina?
Well, I
Because,
think you can begin that conversation with a number of the normal blue bloods that you're used to talking about.
just looking back at his time at North Carolina, he came out of the gates hot, leading that 2022 team that was an 8 seed to national championship appearance, and it was the exact same thing. Up 15 at half against Kansas in that game, blows the lead, but they obviously outperformed their expectations that season, and they returned every guy from that year going into the 2023 season. Now, there were some locker room stuff we're not going to get into, but that team that started as the preseason number one ended up missing the tournament that year, which is insane. And then it's just been disappointing since then.
Right. Right. And that's too bad. I mean, it's I like Hubert Davis. I always have, and I love how North Carolina sticks with their North Carolina guys. When
Mm-hmm.
you had Roy Williams before that, and because he replaced Roy Williams. You had
And he was
didn't
under Roy for a long time.
right, and then you had who was before that? Matt Doherty, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Who was
Anyway,
between Dean
I
and
think
Roy,
Matt
but yeah.
Doherty is who. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Point being, they always like to hire North Carolina guys, guys that have been in their program. And so it'll be interesting what they do with Hubert Davis. And we're going to end up touching on this sort of thing for a number of different main, long-time, big-time college basketball programs. And are the coaches, or should they be on the hot seat?
Yeah. Yes, you're right. It was Matt Doherty before Roy Williams, Bill Guthridge before him, and then Dean Smith. So good
Yeah.
job there. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting because also looking at next year's recruiting class, North Carolina has a couple guys coming in, which it's not like these past couple years they haven't had good players. I mean, RJ and Armando stayed for a long time, still couldn't get it done. They've brought in a couple good freshmen. I mean, it would be interesting to see how this team would have done if Caleb was able to come back like he was supposed to, but a freak accident with the thumb, we'll never know. But you got to be able to beat VCU with this team.
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. I mean, it's kind of like back when Arizona lost to Santa Clara, like we were talking about last week. Way back
Mm-hmm.
in what was it, the 93 tournament.
Yeah.
And Arizona's got to beat Santa Clara. You have to beat Santa Clara with that team that they had. Damon Stoudemire was on that team. Chris Mills. A number of guys that went on to the NBA. You got to beat Santa Clara. UNC has to beat VCU. You just have to.
Yeah. Looking at another 11 versus 6. So Texas was one of those first four teams, and they win their game and then take down BYU. Jeez. Despite a massive game from AJ DeMonta, who had 35 and 10. Yeah, Texas
Yeah.
on a heater here going into the Sweet 16. And I'll be honest, that was a little bit of a bracket buster for me. I had BYU, even though they haven't played great, I had them going to the Elite Eight because I thought if AJ and Rob Wright III could just turn it on and both kind of carry this BYU team, I thought they could get far, but they've just been a mess the second half of the year. Haven't been able to get it going.
Well, you called it on our program here. What, a month and a half ago, when they lost. Shoot, I forget his name. Yeah,
Richie Saunders.
yep. When they lost him, if we went back, you could just kind of see the change in their games and how close they were and beating who they should beat.
Mm-hmm.
A couple losses in there too. It just wasn't hitting quite on all cylinders, and it's going to be interesting to see what AJ does. I saw some discussion that it's possible he comes back for another season at BYU versus going into the NBA. I don't know why he would do that at the level that he's playing at. I mean, you got to go to the NBA and get the money, but
I mean, he's my number one pick. I know a lot of people still have Peterson. There's a couple people that have Boozer, but I think his talent's too good.
yeah. I mean, he is. Oh man, is he good? But yeah,
No, his talent's just off the charts. And Cooper Flagg was saying the same stuff last year, how cool it'd be to come back to Duke. I feel like these guys always say it because it does got to be fun for them being at college. I mean, these are 18-year-old kids, but at the end of the day, you have to go to the NBA.
Now, excuse me. The one thing that has changed it a little bit is when you're talking about the money that these guys are getting technically, the money that they are getting in college. I mean, they're what the money that the big time college players are getting, is equal to, if not in some cases, depending on where your draft status is, more than you're making in your first year or two. Now, granted, you've got the longer contract in the NBA, over however many years your rookie contract is, 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know. But,
4.
That I think that's enough to make you pause for a second and go, should I come back? Because like you said, it's kind of fun. You're living with your buddies. You're on college campus. You're the big man on campus. That's got to be really fun.
Yeah.
You're playing guys that you're significantly better than. That's got to be kind of fun. So the only real downfall is the risk of injury, or I take that back. The risk of injury or having a down season.
Yeah. And you're right. And I would totally agree with that for someone who might go late first, and
Right.
your NBA salary is probably closer to that $5 million range, which is similar to what it would be as like a big transfer looking for a new NIL deal. I mean, some of these guys like Axel Lindenberg are getting $5 million to come to a program. But
Right.
even you could get paid the most amount of NIL money. And I know rookie max contracts right now for the first overall pick, I think Cooper's last year was right around 4 years, $60 million. So you're making $15 million a year, which, I mean, we just haven't seen an NIL deal get that high yet. So I think
Right.
when you're talking number one, there's just no question about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I got us off track there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. A&M upset St. Mary's. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a ton of that one, and A&M ended up losing in the second round. The game, though, you and I watched this one start to finish. Kentucky-Santa Clara, you being a Santa Clara alum, that was such a great game. I mean, close the entire time, lead changes everywhere, and then that ending.
So good. Was I bummed that Santa Clara didn't win? Yes. But that is the basketball game that you want to watch. A back and forth battle. Great play by both teams. And you get a fantastic ending. And that actually went into overtime. But, I mean, the last few seconds of regulation were the best. I mean, you have Santa Clara make a three-pointer with, 2 seconds left or whatever.
2 and change.
And you're like, there you go. It was tied. Santa Clara makes a basket with 2 seconds, a three-pointer with 2 seconds left. They throw it. Now, the interesting thing is there's video. You can see the coach for Santa Clara running down the sideline, signaling for a timeout, and they did not give it to him so that they could set up some semblance of a defense. Whatever. Bummer. Yep, that happens.
Yeah.
It's just like the called third strike in the WBC that we talked about last weekend. The referees missed it. So be it. Kentucky quick inbounds the ball, half quarter, banked it, if I recall. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Boop, boop. Right in the basket. Away we go. Overtime. And Kentucky kind of pulled away. I think they won by 5 or 7 or whatever it was. But, other than a win, you can't ask for a better game. I mean,
no, it was a great
Santa
game.
Clara have won it all? No. But it would have been fun to have win. So, yeah, great game though. It was just a fun basketball game to watch.
Yeah. What's the name of Santa Clara's arena? Do you know?
The Levy Center?
Yeah. So I saw they had a watch party at the Levy Center for that game. And
they did?
A lot of students came. It was probably like a quarter to a third full. So decent amount of people.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it was the video of like the last 5 seconds, and Santa Clara hits the three to go up to go up 3, and the place is just going crazy. And then 2 seconds later, Otega Owe hits the shot, and I mean, it just goes dead silent. Like you say, the air being let out of a balloon. It was
Yeah.
so funny to see.
Yeah. And they went back and forth for a while. And it was just one of those things where Kentucky just slowly pulled away. And then Kentucky goes out in their next game and gets walloped. And
Yeah.
and so Pope now, the head coach of Kentucky's on the hot seat, sounds like a little bit.
Well, and you got to think about, too, how much they're spending here, because it was reported that the NIL for this year's roster is worth $22 million, which I believe is the top in college basketball. And to go out in the round of 32, especially, they looked horrible against Ohio State. It was the most, or Iowa State, was the most turnovers they had in a game all season. They just could not get anything going. Iowa State's defense is really good, I will say. When you and I were watching that game, Kentucky could not get the offense going. It was getting down to the end of the shot clock every possession, and it
Every
was
time.
forcing Denzel Aberdeen and Jasper to just take these contested three-pointers right at the end of the shot clock. Just chuck up a grenade shot and could not get it rolling.
Yeah, Iowa State's defense is relentless, man. I mean, that was the longest I've watched of a full Iowa State game. Holy cow, I had no idea that they were that good on defense.
No, they're amazing. And to keep it going in the second round here, so Joshua Jefferson gets hurt in the first round and also isn't playing in the second round. He was on a scooter the whole time with that ankle injury. Rumors are saying he might be coming back this coming weekend. He's trying to. So that would be interesting if they're able to get him back. And huge for
Well,
them.
and it would be huge. The question becomes, how effective is he versus excuse me, versus what the alternative is. And they played fantastic, like we're just saying, against Kentucky. I remember back years and years ago when Kirk Heinrich was playing for Kansas, and they were making their run into the Sweet 16, Elite 8. They may have even made the Final Four that year. I can't remember, but he had a nasty ankle sprain beginning of the tournament or whatever it was, and they did a lot of treatment over the week leading up to the next set of games. And again, I'm forgetting if it was the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 weekend or if it was the Final Four championship weekend. I can't remember, but and it was it just wasn't quite this. You could tell. I mean,
Yeah.
And bravo to the trainers to get him able to even be on the court. But then, what the a healthy replacement that, where that falls versus let's say they're at 70%, of the starter good player.
Yeah.
I don't know. You as a coach, you got to weigh that.
No, and especially, too, if you don't think he's 100%, do you maybe bring him off the bench, have him play 12, 15 minutes a game just to try and play him in spurts, give a little juice in there when it's needed? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether he does play at all, and if so, how much these next two rounds this weekend.
Yeah.
So sticking with the coaching thing, like you were saying with Hubert Davis. So St. John's, great game against Kansas, tied, and then St. John's hits a game-winning layup right at the buzzer. These first two rounds, outside of Darren Peterson, the rest of the Kansas guys did not play good. I think those first two rounds, they were a combined 2 for 14 from deep, which is horrendous. And there's been rumors of Bill Self possibly retiring or leaving Kansas. Do you think it's time, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, it's telling on that, when we were meeting yesterday, the stat that I found that someone had posted where the last 4 years, Kansas's record in the tournament, and it was a loss in the round of 64 or a loss in the round of 32. So haven't made it past the second round in 4 years, and Kansas is one of those blue blood basketball teams that we talk about, that just it's demanded of them to have a deep run in the basketball tournament. It's just what everyone expects of them, and has, what is the situation with Bill Self? It comes down to all these guys that are spending the money in the program, the boosters. You see it in basketball, you see it in football, and whatever. And, at what point have the boosters that are putting all the money in for all these NIL deals, have they had it and want to get someone that can revive a deep run each year in the tournament? I don't know. I like him. I think I've always liked Bill Self. I think he's a quality individual. I think he's a great coach. He definitely isn't too old. So
no. And you're at a school where you have one of the best home court advantages in college basketball. I mean, his record at Allen Fieldhouse is just insane. It is so hard to go in there and win.
That place is so loud. It's unbelievable.
I want to go to a game there so bad. That would be so much fun.
It would be so cool. So cool.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, because you and I had a conversation it must have been late January, early February, during all of the Peterson stuff when he was battling the body cramps and he was out of the lineup for a while. And Kansas actually did well. And then he came back and they had beat Arizona without him, but lost to Arizona with him. And you and I were questioning whether they are better without him. And Peterson had a great 2 games of the tournament, but I just do wonder if everyone else was kind of playing scared and deferring to Peterson.
Yeah. That has to be so well. And I'm just repeating myself from like what you said, the conversation a month and a half ago, where, from a coaching standpoint, to get your guys ready to play without the main guy, or to play with him, and you have to play 2 different styles. I mean that comes down to as hard of a skill as playing as it is coaching. So that had to be really tough.
Yeah. And then Iowa with the big upset over Florida. Florida, the first number 1 seed this year to lose.
Wow.
Iowa came out of the gates looking good in that first half, up at halftime. And then Florida in the second half started to claw their way back. Iowa missed a couple field goals in a row. Kind of what you were saying, you could start to feel the tide shifting. But Iowa got it together, hit some threes. Big game winner from, I'm blanking on his name. Their stretch 4, hits the 3 in the corner, and then Xavier Lee takes the ball up, tries to pass it, probably should have just shot it. They don't get a shot off, but really cool to see Iowa win that one.
Yeah, that was great. And that was a chippy game, too. Not only between the players, but also the coaches got into it in the middle of the game. Near the end there, Iowa hits a big basket, and as the players running past, the Florida coach is doing the Gator. I mean, it was chippy, and good for Iowa keeping their wits about them and staying just as tough as Florida was physically. And I mean, what a game. Oh gosh, those games are so fun to watch, where you can feel the tension, the announcers are into it, the place is electric. Those are the fun NCAA tournament basketball games to watch.
Yeah, and I was impressed with Iowa because Bennett Sturts is obviously their guy, but Florida is just a big, long team. They have the size of a number 1 team, and they were locking him up all game. You could tell their game plan going into it was, don't let Bennett Sturts beat us, and they did a great job of that, but the other Iowa guys stepped up. And Nebraska beats Vandy. Vandy's game winner in and out. I mean, that ball was halfway down the net and then
Oh,
popped out.
God. Unreal. Well, first of all, Nebraska in the first round wins their first ever NCAA tournament basketball game, and then comes into this Vandy game, and they play great, back and forth, back and forth. Nebraska hits a great left-handed layup to take the lead, and like you said, Vandy chucks it, and it was the same Vandy player had exactly the same shot against Missouri a few weeks earlier that did almost exactly the same thing. I mean, went down in and out, and it's just crazy when you watched it live. The ball, you didn't realize the ball looks like it hit the backboard and the rim and didn't go in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch the slow-mo of what that basketball actually did and how close, it almost was exactly a replay of the Kentucky last-second chuck against Santa Clara that tied it.
Yeah.
Almost exactly the same situation. Backboard and then down in and then popped out, just exactly like what you're saying.
Yeah. So now here in the Sweet 16, we have Nebraska versus Iowa. Funny to see these two like Big Ten teams. I've seen
hate
people
each
on
other.
Twitter call it like the Battle of the Corn here.
Right.
Funny to see those two against each other.
They have their annual football rivalry too,
Mm-hmm.
and they do not like each other. So
yeah. And I saw Nebraska right now is a 1.5 point favorite. So should be a good game.
yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah. And then Texas keeps it going against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he's on the hot seat, but it's amazing that after all these years, all the good players he's brought in and a couple runs he's had, that Mark Few just still hasn't won a national championship.
Did you see? I think I sent the post to you of the most NCAA tournament wins over the time period that Mark Few's been there, compared to, well, they just ranked the most wins by any school since he's been the head coach of Gonzaga, and he has the most.
Wow. I mean, they are in it every year with a good team and just cannot get it done. And the year they played Baylor in the national championship, I thought that was their year. They had such a good team with Timmy and Suggs and Kispert, but yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
He hasn't had one yet. And then looking at the Sweet 16 here, should be a good weekend. I'm going to go into a little bit of Arizona stuff. Arizona, great first round game, beat LIU by 34, and then closer one against Utah State. Kind of lost some steam in the second half, but pulled it out, 178-66. They play Arkansas in the Sweet 16 here. I'm a little nervous for this one. I think Arizona can pull out, but Arkansas is playing well right now.
Yeah, they are, and they're decent. Yeah, they'll definitely give Arizona all they want to handle.
Their backcourt of Darius Acuff Jr. and Malik Thomas, it scares me a little bit. Darius Acuff Jr. is playing and we'll get more into this after the season's over and doing NBA draft stuff, but he is playing like the best player in college basketball right now. I mean, the way he's played in the SEC tournament and now these first two rounds, he just has complete control of the game and puts up the numbers he wants to put up.
Yeah. Yeah, and every game from here on is one thing we were talking about is that there really aren't any Cinderellas left, which is kind of sad to say for the tournament on one hand, because typically if a Cinderella team is winning, it's been an exciting game and there's typically a last minute play that has helped the Cinderellas get to this stage, and there really aren't any. You have Texas as an 11 that's in the Sweet 16, but I mean they're a power school, and so there really isn't one. And so every game from here on can easily go either way. I mean, you're talking about very strong schools, regardless of their seeds, 1 seed versus whatever. I mean, you're talking about powerful basketball programs.
For sure. And last week we talked about the Aiden Holloway stuff at Alabama. I will say Alabama has dominated these first 2 rounds. I thought they might have some issues without him being their second leading scorer, but it'd be fun if they could give Michigan a little run for their money, because Michigan's also played really well these first 2 rounds.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Duke, it'll be questionable if Duke can keep it going, because they haven't looked as powerful as they have a few times in the season. I mean, they, like we said, that Siena gave them a really good run, and then they didn't really. It wasn't necessarily a blowout in their second round game. So
against TCU. It was a 1-point game at one point in the second half, and then
right.
Duke ran away with it a little bit, but
yeah,
really interesting. It'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it will be. Thursday night, always fun.
Yeah. All right, now moving over to some NBA stuff. So we talked about it last week, but the Lakers continue to roll here. I mean, Luka is on fire during this thing, averaging 40 points. Luke Kennard hits a game winner against the Magic the other night for the 10th straight win. But then, unfortunately, last night lost to the Pistons. They're on a long road trip here. I think they just ran out of steam a little bit, but happy with how the Lakers are doing right now. And then Kevin Durant passes Michael Jordan for 5th on the all-time scoring list.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. Just a couple, 10 years ago, he was like 3rd, and people are passing him. Now he's down to 6th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just bound to happen. I mean, that it just with some of these guys having as long a careers as they're having. I mean, that's just bound to happen. I think one thing to touch back on the Laker game, they had back-to-back away games that you and I watched over the weekend, and between those 2 games, Luka had 100 points. He had 40 and 60.
And the fact that on that second night they went from Houston to Miami and they didn't get in till 4 a.m.
Right. And then he throws up 60.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. And it's so funny watching him play. He is so smooth. His stroke is so good. But when he runs, it looks painful.
Yeah.
It looks like his feet hurt like crazy. But then he'll just kind of move around, all of a sudden up it goes. And yeah, I mean, I love watching him play. It's fun to watch.
His little step back he does, it's like slow, but it creates enough space. And he has a jumper where like the ball's kind of above, even a little bit behind his head. And it is just money.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
All right.
So good.
We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. We will be right back. When your body's out of alignment, life just feels harder. At Woods Chiropractic, Dr. Chad Woods brings 25 years of experience helping patients feel better, move better, and get back to living pain-free. Woods Chiropractic offers gentle chiropractic adjustments, electrical muscle stimulation, ultrasound therapy, and deep tissue massage, all tailored to what your body needs. And yes, most insurance is accepted. Serving the entire greater Sioux Falls area, Woods Chiropractic is conveniently located at 229 West 39th Street in Sioux Falls. Call 605-331-2052 to schedule your appointment or visit chadwoodschiro.com. That's Woods Chiropractic. Experience you can trust, relief you can feel. Thank you to our sponsor. The NFL hot stove stuff has cooled down a little bit, but 2 notable things. So Jackson Smith-Njigba signs a 4-year, $168 million extension with $120 guaranteed. This is highest for a wide receiver in NFL history, beating that extension that Jamar Chase signed 2 years ago, I believe. I mean, good for him, though. He had such a good season. Seahawks had to do it.
Oh, they had to do it. I mean, they don't dare not lock him up. He is so good.
Yeah. And then this one is more interesting. Kelce signs a 3-year, $54 million deal with the Chiefs. This blew my. I saw one report on this yesterday. I thought it was fake because he. It was debated all year if this was it for him, if he's going to come back, and then he ends up signing. And I originally thought it was a 1-year deal.
It was.
Yeah, all right, one last hurrah. Maybe he knows that Patrick's going to be back week 8 or whatever. But yeah, Rappaport reports yesterday he's signing a 3-year, $54 million deal. It's just crazy how he can go from looking like he might retire, like it's 50-50, and now he's back for 3 years.
Right. So we were all set with. I mean, we talked about it a month ago when on the 1-year deal. We touched on it. I mean, it was interesting. I don't know how all that came about. It was kind of quiet how it all of a sudden blew up into a 3-year, $54 million.
Yeah,
because it was 1 year and 14, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah, and there were no rumors of it or anything. It just happened yesterday.
Right.
All right, taking a quick look at golf here. So Matt Fitzpatrick wins the Valspar Open. What do you have on that?
Well, it was kind of a quieter week. You know, you're coming off of the Players Championship, so a lot of guys, take it off because they're getting ready for the run to the Masters. So this was the last of the Florida Swing tournaments, and at Innisbrook Resort, fun golf course to watch on. Fitzpatrick played great, and it was interesting though. One of the big stories coming out of there is pace of play. So he was with I'm not gonna. The guy has multiple. I want to say it was French or something, but a different name. And he was just taking a super long time. At one point on the 11th hole, he took 3 minutes over his golf shot to play it. Now he wasn't playing well. Was having it just things weren't going well. But at that point, Fitzpatrick had actually played out of turn and was actually up by the green waiting for him. It makes me remember a long time ago, a number of years ago, there was a tournament where Ben Crane was playing with Rory Sabatini, and Ben Crane is a notoriously slower player than Rory Sabatini, and Sabatini is a notoriously fast player. Well, Sabatini had it, and at one point, Ben Crane was out in the fairway hitting his approach shot. Sabatini was on the green waiting for him, and essentially putts out and leaves the green while Ben Crane was then walking up to the green. I mean, it was awesome.
That's
but
funny.
Coming off of this win, Fitzpatrick made a point to bring up the pace of play issue. And a lot of times, pace of play, an official will come out and tell a twosome or a threesome in some cases, hey, you're on the clock. You guys need to make sure you speed up and whatever. Well, Fitzpatrick went up to an official and said, you've got to put him on the clock. You guys have to do something about that. And so it's become a very big discussion. It's been a discussion on the PGA Tour for a number of years now. Mm-hmm. The tour is notorious for not really enforcing pace of play. There's stuff in the rule books on how long a player has once they're addressing a golf ball, how long to play a shot, or they've arrived at their golf ball, so on and so forth. There are things in the rules that help move along the pace of play. They just don't necessarily always enforce them. And so, and this fervor over pace of play ramps up once a year, maybe once every couple of years. Well, it seems to have really come up now by Fitzpatrick winning the tournament and making a point to bring it up.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Anyway, they move on to Texas now. They have 2 Texas tournaments. I believe this week is the Valero Open. Then you have the Houston Open, and then on to the Masters.
Yeah, fun. Just can't wait for the Masters to get here.
I know. We'll get into it. We'll do a little bit more of a deep dive It'll be hard because we'll be talking about the college basketball at the same time. But by then we'll be down to just a couple of games. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to do a little bit more of a Masters. I'm going to put together kind of a fun Masters discussion with players, a couple key points on them, that sort of thing.
Fun.
And we got, the course itself is always part of the story for the Masters
for
as well.
sure.
Everybody knows Augusta, and, we'll tell some fun stories and so on.
Absolutely. All right. And then last segment here, this or that. This week, we are doing best college basketball uniforms.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
Let's go with your favorite and then 2 honorable mentions.
2 honorable mentions. Excuse me. So, well, I'm going to go honorable mention for me is North Carolina and Arizona.
Yep.
I mean, North Carolina's unis are just iconic. The powder blue, white trim. Sometimes they do the Argyle black and white down the sides.
Yep.
So good. So good. Arizona's I've always loved. I've always loved Arizona's old logo where it's actually like the desert scape. That they've started to bring back, and every once in a while they'll put on like the court or on a hat or something like that. But I always loved that logo. I love the navy and the strong red. Those 2 colors, which then leads me to I think my favorite uniform is Kansas, which again is blue and red with some white and yellow mixed in here and there sometimes. Yep. Kansas has a great uni that they'll wear sometimes where the word Kansas written across the front is kind of in a script. And that's always really kind of cool. And I remember the Kansas teams of back in the 80s and 90s, Danny Manning and all those guys, and Mario Chalmers hitting that shot, to win their national championship a few years ago. So anyway, so that's my lineup. What's yours?
So I'll start it off here. North Carolina and Arizona were up there for me. I mean, after watching Arizona for 4 years, and when I was there, they went through a couple iterations of jerseys, but it just the navy blue, the bright red, and the white. No matter what the jersey looks like, it's tough to beat that color combination. But I still had to give it to North Carolina. I mean, growing up, that's what made me pick them to support growing up before I went to Arizona. Those jerseys just look so good out there every time. So yeah, North Carolina, Arizona, 1 honorable mention. And then my second honorable mention, little bit of a sleeper pick, but it's Kansas State's jerseys. Specifically, the black and the white are cool, but when they do that light purple color, oh my gosh, it looks so cool. They have that kind of cursive script writing across the front. On the shorts, they have the throwback white Wildcat.
Yeah.
I remember, and when they went on that, I believe it was an Elite 8 run a couple years ago with Marquise Noel. They wore those jerseys a lot, and gosh, there's just something about them that looks so cool out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think it's totally, totally awesome.
Yeah.
That it's almost a lavender blue or purple.
Yes.
It's
yes.
very light. Not their hard purple, not the solid
violet. Yeah.
Purple. Violet. You're right. It's that very soft lavender color. Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah. No, that's a fun list. It's fun to go back and look at all the college teams and their uniforms they've had over the years. Yeah. All right. Good episode today. We'll have a lot more coming next week. We have Sweet 16 and Elite 8 coming up here, so it'll be fun to continue to talk about even more. Like you said, we're getting closer to Masters. NBA season's winding down. Yeah, should be good.
It'll be good. Can't wait, bud. Love you.
Yep. Remember to follow on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe on YouTube to Gen 1 Mike Pod. Thank you, guys.